Like to acknowledge and pay respect to the traditional owners of the land on which I'm coming to you. The land of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, it's upon their ancestral lands from which One Space Love streams to you.
Welcome to Living Story on the One Space Love podcast. I'm your host, Stephania Papadopoulos. On this podcast, I sit down with inspiring guests who share their wisdom and their lived experience with the work that they're doing to help others let go of old stories, embrace who they truly are, and begin living a story where they feel aligned with purpose, with possibility. My hope is that each conversation reminds us to trust in your own unfolding, because your story is still being written. And welcome to Living Story. What is your feelings on purpose and each of us having a purpose?
Yeah. For me, I feel that the purpose is not always about serving others. And sometimes we might serve others without realizing that, and that is also okay. And so for me, it's felt many things. A sense of purpose, in a way, fundamentally, I feel more and more that my purpose or something I am wanting, and certainly on the path of, is consciousness, to be conscious, to be present, to live in the now, to enjoy all of that and to live it all. There is a hunger within me as a human being to enjoy life, to experience many things, to experience love in many forms, to be an adventurer of sorts, and certainly an adventurer of the heart, and to come here and live more and more with an open heart.
Welcome, Sin Mariani, to Living Story on the One Space Love podcast. So good to have you finally here sitting with me and chatting with me. Thank you.
It's a true pleasure, Stephania, to be here with you.
Yeah, I feel like really blessed to have this little moment in time. I like to start off with the question, could you answer the statement, I am, to introduce yourself?
I am, when you say that, I just want to say, I am.
Yeah.
In truth, is the truth, isn't it? That deeper truth of I am, of we just exist, we just are. We're these timeless, eternal beings. And yeah, we have these incredible concepts about ourselves and identities. So to answer in that regard, I am a channel healer, energy worker, clairvoyant, also a counselor and therapist. I work more consciously and intuitively with people in that regard. I mentor groups. I'm also many other interesting things, a surfer, person who produces and makes electronic music from time to time. I write poetry. Not many people know about that, but that's okay. That's more personal sort of stuff. But I guess like everybody, we're many things. I'm a parent, incredibly grateful parent. And yeah, definitely a liver and lover of life and humanity. Yeah.
I love that. I learned more about you in that one answer. Thank you. And with all of that you've shared, have you always had that understanding of where you wanted to go? This is Living Story, and it's definitely a journey you've been on. So take me back to the earlier years. Was it something you always knew, what it is you wanted to do to help heal people and to help people?
And my life probably has been often characterized by helping people. So I started out as a youth worker in the early 90s. Then I tended to pursue for quite some time my creativity and was touring and recording and a musician, sometimes in bands, mostly doing my solo, interesting, out there, crazy, experimental, mostly electronic music performances and creations. I then found myself back in that space of supporting others, working in the mental health field, more within the recreational side of that, supporting others who have mental illness diagnoses to pursue their creativity, which I absolutely loved.
Oh my gosh.
I'm incredibly grateful to be able to support them in the ways that I was able to, and to meet these incredible, astoundingly honest and supportive cohort. So that was very memorable. I once saw a healer, an incredible healer actually. I don't mind saying her name, Deborah Beers, who is a kinesiologist and a healer. Yeah, many people know her in the eastern suburbs. I was about 37 at the time. I'd never been sort of that party kid, but I seemed to have done that late. And at the time she said to me, "Oh, you're a healer. It's in your hands." And at the time I felt a little bit chuffed, but I was like, me, a healer? Okay, yeah, whatever. Mind you, within, a few years that did come to fruition. I started being mentored rather, and straight away I understood the that I had this incredibly strong and clear clairvoyance and a sense of knowing and hearing information. So I guess they call that claircognizance, clairaudience. I was mentored further in those abilities, but also around sort of energy work and the feeling stuff, the clairsentience. So that for me was something that I developed. So it was an interesting path that you could say I fell into, but also the universe was guiding me. In my early 40s, I had had a number of dreams with my belated grandmother who had
Yep.
crossed over in my 20s. So this is a long time. She showed me in a series of consecutive dreams different things, and I felt that she was preparing me. So the first dream she showed me, to say this succinctly, she showed me what reality was. I was always astral projecting at the time. I didn't understand that at the time, and now I understand that's what I was doing. I get a bit excited, and it's like she'd have to end the dream because I'm like, well, if reality is just this, I can do that. You know, I wanted to jump off a cliff because I knew I could fly. I knew I could soar. But of course, reality, 3D reality is still going to have consequences. If I jump off a cliff, I'm going to be on the other side, aren't I, in the light, which is also fine. But I would like to be here, very much want to be here. So, and then she taught me about reincarnation or death, reincarnation, healing on the other side, all these really poignant things that were later going to be useful for me as the role that I was going to be stepping into. So I feel the universe was guiding me every step of the way. And within business, so I was working for not-for-profits for quite some time, and I was doing things like communications and managing training programs, and was a trainer and did all sorts of stuff, managed centers, etc. From that experience, and even all the music experience and performance experience, everything makes sense now. Like I feel confident to stand in front of a group of people and address them. I know how to edit. I wouldn't say I'm a producer of any kind in terms of, video, et cetera, or documentaries or anything, but I have skills enough to be able to record and edit everything, to put things up on Insight Time and put backing tracks, to know how to use software. So all these various things that I've been doing have assisted me to operate a business in the way that I have thus far. Although I'm looking to go bigger now and get some other people in, but that will be exciting as well.
But even bringing in other people, I think what you're touching on is that you have the awareness and the understanding of the skill set that you can mentor and train the team that support you on this next journey of your story.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be sitting there saying, "Hey, tell me how to do this." I might be more saying, "I would like to do this. What are the best ways, better ways to do this in the future?" Yeah, definitely. So it's interesting how, and I see this with clients, you don't always see how all the bits of your living story are unfolding so that you can be what you've come here to be. And being is not just a role. Everyone thinks it's, oh, you're a counselor, therapist, etc., energy worker, clairvoyant, etc. It's not just that. Being is not just about those things or what we're doing. Being is sometimes, I've seen light workers who are parents of a child with complex disability or other abilities, etc., and understandings of life and experiences of that. And that parent is so profound in the role that they are going to be in that particular soul's life, and vice versa. So it's not just about what role or what your job is, your career. It's all manner of ways that you're a light worker, that you're a healer. Yeah.
Got goosebumps of what you were saying. I'm being taken somewhere back in what you were saying, but then I want to move on to purpose and your view on what you just shared on purpose. But just going back to, you mentioned meeting Deborah Beers and became a bit of a point on the path. And then also when you're 20. So was there an awareness? I mean, because with Deborah saying what she said, you had to then take action, isn't it? You had someone point you in a way and then you had to take action to go deeper. Did you always have a knowing that you could feel the presence coming through from messages from source and that feeling different energies? Did you have that awareness as a child? Because it's a big thing to step into. Yeah.
It is. As a child, my mother told me there were fairies in the garden. I do believe she believed that. I saw them. I remember seeing them. And I was apparently a child that didn't sleep at night and talked incessantly. And I have these vague recollections of feeling that there were a lot of people in my room. So even as a toddler, I'm pretty sure that I was seeing and aware that were spirits that are there. And then, as I suppose most children are, we're conditioned in ways to be this, to be that. Even though I was always encouraged with my creativity, And I always sensed there was more, always. In fact, I craved it. I grew up in the western suburbs of Sydney and felt it's very black and white, and the conversations with majority of people were very simplistic in the sense of talking about the weather or sport or this or that.
Mm.
Craved the depth, which I later found at art school. And I did have one friend at school that I could go there with and have these ponder, be a bit more philosophical. The experiences that I had, possibly more in my 20s, of spirits, seeing them not only in the night or feeling them, but in the daytime,
Mhm.
showed me that there was, I guess, some sort of you can call it a gift, but certainly an openness to that. I think it's an openness. And then I had also simultaneously a number of experiences with entities, which terrified me
Yes. Yep.
and in my sleep, and in other ways so, and was feeling frozen with fear sometimes. For instance, to go out to an outdoor toilet where I was living in Fremantle, I literally had to ask my partner at 25 years of age to come outside with me because I was terrified at night. I could feel stuff, but I couldn't see it. And so later of course I understood certain times I was traveling across country touring and knowing there were certain places you couldn't stay. I could feel the Aboriginal ancestors saying,
Mm.
"You're not welcome here."
Not permission. Yep.
Yeah, and perhaps
Yep.
I was on men's land. In one case, I think I was. So
Mm.
I felt and knew things without knowing things, without even having any understanding even of my background back then. But so I think there's always been that sort of knowingness. I had sometimes prophetic dreams, and I also recall just seeming to know what to say to people,
Mm.
and people feeling like, "How do you know that much?" Even as a teenager. But
Mm.
clearly stuff was coming through.
Yes, and just going back to the entities, can you explain what that means to you just for the listeners? Because I think it's a big
Yeah.
word and has many definitions,
Yeah, it
So
does. Yeah, it's interesting. I just was speaking about this to a friend last night. Entityism, again, because we all have our own perceptions,
yes.
or understanding of this, is lower forms of energy, often negative, often feeding off other people's negativity, whether that's a person that's drowning in their beer at the pub because they've lost everything, or whether it's sometimes I feel like people having mental health, struggles, or just any of us living the harder things that feel often a bit heavier. Entities often seem to light those energies. And there was growing up, I had a great childhood in many respects. And then also, probably like most people, there were some big challenges there as well. So without getting too intellectual about it, there were those experiences. The thing for me with entities was that they would sometimes come in my sleep, and I actually felt they were going to kill me. That if I didn't scream and I couldn't get a voice out, that I was going to die. Now, there's a name for those dreams. Do they call them night terrors or something? And there's a
Yep.
psychological reason they call them. I'm sorry, I disagree with the psychological reason. I do believe that they are entities. Probably the most profound thing that happened for me in the first session of being mentored by somebody else was being able to ask about entities and have this person say to me, "They cannot kill you. You do not need to be scared.
Yeah. Thank you for
The
saying that.
light is
Yep.
always stronger. Your light is always stronger." Henceforth, I had not many, a couple more of those sorts of dreams, but something within me was activated to know that didn't matter where these entities were from. One actually felt like from, somewhere, I would say another planet one time. Some part of me knew this and woke myself up, and then I
Mm.
ceased to have those dreams. And possibly because I now know, and I wish every human to know, that they cannot harm you.
Mm.
And the light is always stronger. Source energy, God, divine, have you feel that energy, Allah, is always more potent.
Yeah. No, beautiful. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that because I think it's important. I wanted to ask about purpose. What is your feelings on purpose and each of us having a purpose?
Yeah. For me, the purpose is not always about serving others. And sometimes we might serve others without realizing that, and that is also okay. And so for me, it's felt many things, a sense of purpose in a way, fundamentally. I feel more and more that my purpose or something I am wanting and certainly on the path of is consciousness, to be conscious, to be present, to live in the now, to enjoy all of that and to live it all. There is a hunger within me as a human being to enjoy life, to experience many things, to experience love in many forms, to be an adventurer of sorts, and certainly an adventurer of the heart, and to
Mm.
come here and leave more and more with an open heart. And it feels as if that translates into my work of supporting others to connect more deeply with the unconditional love that I believe we all fundamentally are, the essence, and to live from that space.
Mm.
And that purpose seems to be performed for me with any interactions I have with others, because we all give to each other in our interactions. It's not about me giving more to others or I'm more evolved. It's not that. I'm always receiving and exchanging. And I am also aware that that's coming a lot through writing. I've been writing fanatically for some time and it's pouring out. So there are books that are coming and there'll be more. And the talks and the events that I run, because I'm now wanting to run not just online events, but in person, because the connectivity between people in real life is something that we seem to be all craving. And we've done online. And yes, we were forced through the COVID era to do online, but I do get a sense that people are craving this. And even a family member said to me recently, why don't you do things in person? I said, it's funny you say that. I literally have just booked a bunch of events. I'm going to keep doing that. And I want to do it around the world, Stefania. I want to be able
Beautiful.
to get bigger groups of people together, all healing together, connecting with one another, so that the shifts that we already know are happening do get that bit of extra support through this collective. It's not just me, it's through the collective coming together.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing in what you're saying is it's not a matter of, I'm a musician and that's what I'm setting out to do. And it's almost like when you're open and you're connected with that divine presence and that source, you're moved with the seasons almost. Like it feels to me like I can just see you like surfing through the seasons and then traveling around the world. So what allows us, do you feel to surrender to live that way? Like what are some insight you can give that's allowed you, because we come up with a lot of self-talk, don't we? A lot of like comparison. Yeah.
There's room for all of our voices. And because even if I was to share certain things that others share, I'm going to have my own frequency, my own tone, my own way of expressing it, my own anecdotes, my own experiences. And so I don't know that it's a comparison thing. Yes, the egoic mind wants us to do that. I don't feel into that. And I think it can be mostly being conscious in the moment of what the mind is telling you. And it might tell us all sorts of things that, yes, I need to be this good to do this, or I need to be this expert to start my own podcast, or I need to have this many followers. And those things I feel like they are the potential inhibitors. So the way that I've been navigating this is, for a very long time, is always having faith in that source energy, to be guided. As soon as I started channeling, I was writing for humanity. I started getting downloads, which is why I called it Downloading Light, the business. I started getting downloads that were for humanity, not just individuals. And I knew that I'd be writing, and initially they were articles or blog posts, and then they became more social media posts, dabbling in a few of those things. But certainly it's become now writing for people and sharing more guidance and wanting to do that more broadly and being interviewed on podcasts, things like that. The other parts I would say that have helped me is the constant faith in the universe, because I've operated a business for well over a decade successfully, always having more than enough clients or certain other opportunities that come in. Sometimes it's events, whatever it is, there's always something that comes in. So if you looked at the way my system works, most people would probably have a heart attack and go, oh, how can you live and work like that?
Yeah.
Yet I'm in flow. And so I've always
Yep.
felt guided, even with the writing, when I've written, how I've written, the times I've been right into it, it's flowing through me. I've always felt for some time that I will talk to audiences around the world, and now that feels very close. For a long time it didn't. I was sort of craving it, but I let go of the expectation, just knowing what's there already. Just keep doing it. And I think that's the part of what probably you're doing, Stephanie, is just showing up each day,
Yep.
doing what you feel called to do in amongst sometimes what feels like chaos.
Chaos. Thank you, Sin.
Okay?
Yeah.
Sometimes it feels like swirling, bombarding experiences of anxiety for
Yep.
any number of us. Sometimes it feels like trying to find even that snippet of time, and yet oddly we do. And so it's knowing all of those rhythms, it's flowing with them, because I notice this with my work. There are times where if I'm feeling like everything's a bit much, my bookings will drop off for a few days.
Yep.
So that's the universe taking care of me, saying, you've got enough money in the bank. Can you just chill, look
Yep.
after you? And
Yeah.
then sometimes then I'm, buzzing again with all this energy and I'm, all these words and all these beautiful wisdoms coming through and I'm sharing that, typing that out, ready for future books. So it's following the rhythms and knowing that's okay rather than it feeling like even if business slows down or you feel your creativity isn't as buoyant at the moment, trusting that that's just, again, part of the ebbs and the flows like every other part of nature. We are nature. Go with it. Try not to get into your head.
Actually, talking about I love that answer. You mentioned surfing, that you ground yourself, because I think it's very important, especially today with how fast paced everything is going, to have tools to get us out of our head. What do you do personally to ground yourself or share with your clients to help get out of that mind chatter? Yeah.
Yeah, it's important. For me personally, I have a morning ritual where I jump in the ocean. I seem to have coffee and I sit and I write and I sit somewhere very quiet because where I live is noisy, which has also been a really good opportunity for me to keep tapping into consciousness and inner peace rather than going, oh, it's so noisy and complaining like I used to. It's like,
Yep.
oh, work with it. So I tend to do that. That really, really helps me. I do connect with other people, certain close friends. I would say I have daily voice messages with certain people, respond when we can. That also helps me stay aligned and sort of aware of where my thoughts are. But in particular, I suggest this with clients because I do it a lot. It's taking moments as needed to notice and to be aware of what the mind is saying. So the egoic mind is nonstop chitty chat, and it's taking those moments to pause and just notice what my mind is saying. And I'm fully aware that it's not real. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, will tell us that. We know it consciously as well, that thoughts are energy, they're not real. So I take time to notice what they're saying and to bring myself back into the now. And that's often through just the breath or noticing other things around me, or if I'm cooking, noticing as I'm chopping up the veggies, particularly with my child, looking at her when she talks, looking at her. Not, sort of half on your phone booking in a client, like I have to be aware of that, or half cooking, I will actually stop and look at her. So I feel like all of those, the very small, simple things that a lot of people already know, but the key to it is the first instance of being aware that you can notice what the egoic mind is stating or telling you. And you'll always know it's egoic because it will be constricted, restricted, limited. It will have you feeling uncomfortable in some way. It will usually be negative. It may sound like a victim. It may sound like a very pushy, bossy person. It will be any of the things that feel ultimately unwanted and undesirable.
Yeah, because I think on your socials about how you started off with automatic writing and that you started to, once you got into the flow, you started to see the ego mind coming in and started to learn the difference between that. So I love that you touched on that, because I think a lot of questions mediums and clairvoyants get is, well, how do you know that is coming through directly? And you answer that well. Do you want to share any more on that? Yeah.
You feel it so differently.
Okay.
The source energy spirit is so open and free and unconditionally loving and flows, is gentle, has zero judgments. It's expansive and it cannot really be confused with egoic mind, because egoic mind is the antithesis. It's limited, restricted, it's held back. It's, as I said earlier, it feels negative. Again, you'll notice and observe even within yourself, if you're reading for someone, if you observe judgments, you know straight away you're an egoic mind. But you can also sit there and just notice, okay, something I was in mind. I often go like this, a clear, out of the mind. And sometimes it's even I'm picking up somebody else's stuff. I do believe we're all telepathic. I don't read people's minds. I don't want to. I did an experiment with my daughter recently over just some gentle, fun things. And she was quite astounded. And then I got her to do it with me and she could do it. And I said, see, we can all do it. But I don't want to read people's minds. It's intrusive. And, I think we should all have a bit more respect for each other's privacy.
Yeah. Otherwise, we'd be walking around picking up all kinds of stuff.
Too much. You've already got your own mind chatter. I don't want to pick up on other people's mind chatter. But you can clear very easily, and I will do that. I'll just clear or notice that's what it is and come back into the source and just fall back into that expansive energy, that really truthful essence. And because I can do it in that way, I do believe that's where the accuracy comes from, not unlike Sophie Robinson, who you recently interviewed and I listened to. Because of that, we can go into this space of being able to really receive what is, I would say, is accurate, because it's not a projection of mine. It is the source energy, spirit talking, sharing, wanting to help us fundamentally.
And I love that you brought up Sophie Robinson, because I got to meet you both at a circle that I'm part of, and I feel very blessed to have met you both. Have there been mentors before you've really stepped into this that you want to mention and share, or teachers that you really have helped you to really trust in this path? Yeah.
I would say there have been various mentors. I mean, when I was a late teenager, I was actually in 12-step meetings, not for addiction, but for other people's addiction.
I loved that you mentioned that. And I was really curious, actually, going to start off with that, Sin, because I mean, how interesting you went there, but you didn't have an addiction. Can you, take us there before we finish up, like a little bit on that? Yeah.
I probably had an addiction, as my best friend at the time would have told you, to being attracted to people who have had very big addictions. They were very messy. No judgment is where they were at. And clearly I had my own stuff going on. But that was where I first felt this really noticeable, deep connection to something greater. And it was easy. It was there. I didn't have to do anything like that. It was just there. And so I had a sponsor who was, I don't know, probably 20 years my senior or something, who was, I believe, Buddhist at the time, and did Reiki.
Okay.
And just being around her and talking to her, I learnt a lot. Without realizing it, I did. And from a best friend / flatmate that I lived with for a number of years that I'm still in touch with, we've sort of reconnected, who was also in 12-step meetings, who has this profound sense of spirituality and awareness and self-awareness, and incredible human being. And I would say that there have been other people, but namely there were probably authors that spoke to me. So for me, Pema Chodron, Eckhart Tolle, Deepak Chopra to a degree, Shakti Gawain in the 90s for me. Living in the Light. I read it now. It's quite simple in a way to read, but what a phenomenal book it was, an introduction to spirituality. People would say it was New Age, I guess. So I had those learnings from people. And then I worked with a mentor, a friend Davidson, for many years, who is an incredible mentor, a lot of integrity, and also very quick to notice where ego is in and to nip that in the bud. So I felt those years of mentoring with Fran were helping with the channeling, but also were helping me with where I had arrived at wanting to be aware of my ego. Because there were times when I was younger as a musician, look, I was a 20-year-old, I'm not giving myself a hard time, but I remember being a bit of having quite an ego for a short period of time that was, to me, feels very unattractive to look at now. But I also understand it's part of my path, and also understand that was the part that was keeping me on my 2 feet when I needed it until I learned something more. So it's not around bashing the ego or judging others when they're in the ego. I understand why we may do that, what's happening, and these days choose to observe it in others and in myself. It doesn't need to be a judgment. It's just noticing it. And when we notice it, it's a bit like we cast a light even for the other. They might not necessarily consciously know, but we sort of cast a light there for them and for yourself. Cast a light on, okay, that's happening. Come back to the center, come back to the depth of what we are, and then speak. That's, I think, the way that I operate. But yeah, Eckhart Tolle for sure.
Yeah.
And somebody's had a significant impact on me. Yeah.
Well, definitely, I can feel that in your teaching. I want to share.
Singer.
Yeah.
Sorry. And Michael Singer. Love Michael Singer.
Oh, Michael Singer's books are
Love
incredible.
Michael Singer.
Yeah. Good. Let's talk now about what you're doing, because you are also offering where you also mentor people. You've got these amazing live events that I've attended. I've also been to your online events, and I've had a personal session with you, which helped me step into, I want to acknowledge, coming back and relaunching the podcast with Living Story. So thank you for that. And I really want to acknowledge that. Can you share on what it is you're doing now and what it is you're excited about?
Yeah, sure. That was a magic moment, by the way, and I also thank Source for being able to share that with you. It felt timely. certainly poignant. The things that I'm offering at the moment, I'm feeling like I'm leaning more into groups, still do one-to-one pure guidance readings for people and energy work, and obviously have some therapy and counseling clients, that are sort of steady numbers of those on my books always. But I tend to feeling drawn to running more groups. And so I do online events once a month called Elevate, which you've attended.
Yes.
And what a beautiful group and growing collective that is. I try to keep it accessible in fees. We'll know that. From memory, is it 30 or 35? I can't remember.
I think it's 30, but you're very, you're very welcoming to everyone. And what I love about that group online is you will sleep so peacefully after Sin's
You
group.
do.
She just brings you into this, like, I think 0.0, I would say. Is that a way to describe it? Like you just feel
Yeah.
this
Me too.
pure love. And I can actually, my body just tingled explaining it. Like I sleep so peacefully after that group.
Yeah, it's incredible,
yeah.
isn't it? I feel the
Yeah.
same. The energy is it's so omniscient because we're all there all together,
Yeah.
connecting to the truth of who we are and the source energy, or remembering we are the source energy. So yeah, that I try to keep accessible. If people are unwaged or, having sort of financial challenges, people can attend for a donation or for free. I don't want it to be something that people can't attend because of some sort of financial barrier. The other thing is I've started to run those in person. As you know, you came to, thank you, the first one in
Yes.
Sydney on Gadigal Country. And I ran, one on Bunjalung Country in Brunswick Heads and one on Gabby Gabby Country and Sunshine Coast. And I will do those again in August by the looks, those same 3 places. Maybe
Yay.
look at maybe adding in some extra places, or certainly over time. So it feels good to be stepping into that and doing it in person. And the other thing is that I still have small mentoring groups that I run. And I'm also looking at the moment, if anyone's interested, they can get in touch at running a short sort of 6 to 8 week small intensive around developing further their sort of channeling and intuitive abilities and connection to the source energy. That's just brewing now, that. And the other thing that's prominent at the moment for me is the writing. A book is with an editor, the first one. Second one feels like it's going to be finished soon. So they may be released in close succession. Who knows? I have a couple of others that sort of are in the pipeline that are slowly written because it's the only way they can be written. So it feels interesting to be doing that, Stephania. And the next goal, which who knows, I'm contemplating even doing this in August, is to run an event overseas and just start. So not feeling like I have to wait. And I think that's what I was doing. Oh, do I need to have the books out? Do I need to have a publisher? Do I need to do this? It's like, no, you just do what you're doing because this is what you're doing and who you are and what you want to do. And you feel ready, just do it. Yeah, again, going with the rhythms and the flows of what can be. Yeah.
I was just before we go there, actually, your website is.
So if people want to find out any more information about the monthly Elevate workshops or in-person workshops, etc., they can visit my website at downloadinglight.com. You can follow me on all socials at downloadinglight.
Yes, you're on all the socials as well, and you share quite daily as well, so people can go over and look at your socials. You do brilliant videos. I love it. They're so much fun and so insightful. I wanted to end by asking if you could share a insight into how you would inspire others to start living their story, because I feel like you're very much living story. And you're an inspiration. I could talk to you for hours. Honestly, I'm keeping this short, but I could keep asking you questions. What do you want to leave us on? Leave us with.
2 things actually. When you said your living story, saying it in the present like that made me feel like when First Nations people talk about connecting to country, it's not connection to country. Always it's connecting to country. It's in that moment you're having that connection, which I do relate to. There's First Nations in our background. I don't often talk about it because we're trying to find out proper history, etc. first, but it's there. I feel it. However, the part about living story is, and it made me think of even sort of very much everything is storytelling in Aboriginal culture, and it is in other cultures and has been for a long time as well. And so the living story, I believe, is all of us knowing that in every moment you are living story. It's not something that you have to do or something that you have to attain. It would be more me getting you to be curious about how could I notice in the moment that I am living story. And some of our stories will permeate beyond our time here on planet Earth. Some won't. And it really doesn't even matter. What matters now is the energy, the unconditional love, the love that you feel anyway, the love that you are, I believe, in the moments of your living story, being present to that. And if you come from that space, it means you're open, which translates in the universe, source energy being able to flow through you, with you, for you, because everything is already unfolding anyway, Stephania. We don't need to manifest. Things are unfolding.
Yes.
We're blessed. We are supported. I see it all the time. So it's remembering that.
I'm letting that all marinate and, everyone to feel that. Thank you so much for joining me, Sin Mariani, on Living Story on One Space Love. It has been such a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me on your podcast. It's wonderful to connect always.
Thank you so much.